Hello everybody, welcome to the Art of Execution framework, and the topic this time is about connectors who are alchemists. Connectors as defined in the Art of Execution framework are the people who understand the systems very well end-to-end, as well on the business side, the operations end-to-end. And alchemy is defined as an impressive transformative process, such as the cruise ship here. As you can see, it's quite an impressive transformation of the vast open sea. They even have a water park here with the water slides here. Very interesting. And the art of execution is based on universal principles, similar to what Lao Tzu, who is on the back of the buffalo here, who wrote the Tao Te Ching, which describes the governing principles of our world. Let's look at some examples, people and things and creatures which are capable of transforming a situation in impressive ways. If there's 100 to do 1 or do 0.1. Don't wait. So here's the point Mother Teresa is trying to make, that don't wait for leaders, just go ahead and do it. Deliver the smallest customer visible, customer usable feature as quickly as possible. That's the guiding agile principle. Here's an impressive response to transform the environment when one is under attack, besieged. When something irritates you, when something bothers you, when something is harming you, can we transform that into something precious? This moth has incredible skills. Not only can it detect radar, it can also jam radar by evoking ultrasonic clicks, transforming a life-threatening situation, being attacked by a bat, to survival. The person, Thomas Edison, who transformed the night into day. If the person had windshield, they will transform his experience here, right? Captain Sully's training, experience, and skill turned a disaster into a miracle on the Hudson River. Very impressive. Lighting up one's body in the dark of the night. That's also impressive. The principles in the religions, even though many people don't like religions, the principles within them have tremendous amount of transformative power. Same with the principles in the family, friendship, and even in martial arts, where the Russian Systema master Vasilev says, when you know there will be a fight, start relaxing beforehand. Do not try to fight, just work. So if you Google him, if you YouTube him, you can watch and see what he means. Aikido, I have practiced over 20-some years. It's incredible transformative process. It has definitely taught me to relax and to become calmer over time. Jets, Jets. J stands for John Wooden, who is a master of principle of personal best. His UCLA basketball team won 88 consecutive championship games. It's quite an incredible Wizard of Westwood. Jets, E for Edward Demings. His principles is the foundation for total quality management, and today the highest award for quality in Japan is the Deming Award. JET, T for Tom Peters. If you read this book, you will see a number of great principles for corporate excellence. Stephen Covey, JETS, S stands for Stephen Covey. For the centrality of habits. Everything is habit, is habitual. What tastes good to me? How do I get angry? How quickly do I recover? How do I react to things? What do I expect to be the correct behavior, or how the food should taste? All of those things are habits. Some of them have become subconscious. However, all of them can be changed, just like how the London taxi drivers can memorize all the streets of London, and then their hippocampi, the hippocampus, which is responsible for spatial navigation, actually enlarges visibly under imaging. So form correct habits. This is essential. Miyamoto Musashi fought 66 duels starting from age 13. It's not about being a cold-blooded killer, but it's about the principle that he has come up with. So the art of execution, being a connector, somebody who understands the systems and operations in any company, any corporation, or they are trying to understand, that's what a connector is. The spirit of that is to win, to be able to transform dysfunction into high productivity, whatever the dysfunction may be and whatever size the company may be. And this is a key principle in designing processes. Dr. Deming said, when you design processes, make sure each step adds significant value and it is not error prone. And Musashi Miyamoto said, do nothing which is of no use, because in battle or in duels, if you do something that is useless, it can cost you your life. All of life, everything on earth is transforming with the passage of time. And so change is unavoidable. At the same time, proactive, active change can be done by connectors who understand the art of execution principles, and they can transform bad situations into good. So in the meantime, we realize with the passing of time, everything will go away. So 100 years from today, none of this will make too much difference anyways. So somebody is too much to the left, somebody is too much to the front, up and down, high and low, hot and cold, right and wrong. So all of that will go away. What will remain are the consequences of our actions. They call that karma, and the principles and the processes will remain on earth. So my hope for doing this is to pass on a few principles and a few insights and some conditionings and some paradigms for those who will come after me, including our children, and hopefully that will persuade workers in companies to be fair, to be just, and also for the workers to understand what is going on. And so the art of execution is a personal organizational transformation framework. It's a lot of work to get to it. However, once you get to it, I guarantee you, it will help you significantly. Before proceeding any further, I realize however I see things is my projection, right? So it is not, when I see something about somebody, or when I make accusations or false accusations about somebody, when I share my perception, I understand that those perceptions come from me. It is not from them. At the same time, I have talked with other people, other co-workers, and gotten some concrete feedback that what I'm saying for the rest of the hour definitely has some truth to it. At any rate, the principles I'm sharing will make a difference regardless. So the overview for the next 45 minutes, organizational revival, right? So when some, like that irritation the oyster faced, or that threat the squid encountered, when something at work is being used to go against you, what can you do with that energy or that threat to help elevate the organization, right? So that's what the challenge is, and that's what the principles I'm trying to pass on is basically for that. So if somebody comes at you with a knife, the Russians have, the Systema teachers have incredibly skilled and smooth ways of disarming that knife. So here I will give an example, and then we will see how the job description questionnaire was used, not by me. Somehow the timing of the universe and timing of the company was such that it was administered and neutralized a threat for me. But in the meantime, I had done a number of different things to disarm it. Anybody can make accusations. Oh yeah, he's just a disgruntled employee. He's incompetent, he's lazy, he's confused, he's retired on the job. and so on. And so you can say whatever you want to say, but words are useless. So usually when you get into trouble, if you get into trouble at work officially with a superior, words don't mean too much, because when you end up in HR or when they throw you out on the street, that's the end of that. So it's really not much you can argue about. So what you can do is, by using the universal processes and the principles, for example, the gravity, right? Certain things must happen in the workplace in terms of a production process in a certain sequence, which I will show in the following slides. So we can use those processes and principles to demonstrate how something is misaligned. Right? So once again, connectors understand how the systems work, computer systems work end to end, and some of the connectors are on the business side. They understand the business operations end to end. So these people can solve problems, can diagnose the situation, and propose end to end solutions. The 4 pillars of the art of execution. I have a playlist of 13 videos in YouTube showing the 4 pillars. So I will not go into too much detail here, because the purpose for this hour is to show alchemy, transformation. So the generic principles and processes are what the art of execution framework offers. However, for you to be really effective in any company, on any new systems, you must understand the terminology, you must know the players, you must know the people. So that can take 1 to 4 years to acquire. So you need both set of skills to be able to execute effectively. And what's being offered here is, the CEO may say one thing, your manager may say something else, and your coworkers may see something else. So what is true north? What is really the right thing to do? So the art of execution framework, the 4 pillars, the leader's edge, the process ninja skill, the duality skills, and cohesive skills, and we will see those on 2 or 3 more slides. Those 4 pillars, when used in combination, will allow you to navigate difficult, challenging, threatening situations, and also it will give you an understanding of what's going on in terms of the big picture, the organizational structure, the performance appraisal system, the training system, the onboarding system, the communication system, and so on. And then you can tell what's misaligned, and you will be able to articulate that, which I did. And I sent my findings at one point to the new CEO, the new COO to be, the human resources director, and so on, chief of staff. So it is a guide to the true north, like a compass. It's supposed to point to true north, right? It will give you the ability to diagnose and reverse dysfunctions. And once again, the spirit is to win over the dysfunction, and whatever pain points the company is experiencing, which I experienced and which got me in trouble, we can actually use that to heal the organization. So here's the Dagger. So here's my performance appraisal, and it basically says I'm inadequate, and this is my name. I need to follow the standards in the system development lifecycle. I have to come up with detailed project schedule. That's what work plan means in this case. And the issue logs, right? So in the world of project managers, we are supposed to, some people say, capture issues logs separately from risk logs, separately from action items, separately from decisions made. There's a point and place for that under this gray sky of variation, but it's not always applicable in all situations, in my opinion. And then the performance appraisal goes on to say, I don't know how to escalate issues. I do not know how to follow through, and I was too passive, and I need to have a higher level of initiative. And then the Hatchet followed the Dagger, which is basically supposed to be a knockout blow, I think, for people who are less experienced. And in my particular case, it was fascinating. It was like, wow, what's up with this? Because I had been a disciple of principles and processes for almost 25 plus years. It's a long time. So I don't know many things, and I'm lacking and uneducated in so many ways, but I do know principles and processes. And so when this was put on me, and the C-level manager was also copied on my review, here they say I don't know how to do, I did not do WBS, which stands for work breakdown structure. For example, if you run a restaurant, you have to buy the food, prepare the food, cook the food, serve the food, and clean up. So anything that you do, you have to break it down to a number of steps. So it's saying I don't know how to do that, or I didn't do it. Once again, I need to separate issue logs from risks, and then I have to communicate effectively and track effectively. And what I was doing was, and by the way, what I did then is what I'm doing now. And now I've been getting excellent reviews, and I haven't changed what I have been doing. I keep the issues and the status and the activities and the tasks in one document. And the reason for doing that is in a process dysfunction, in a process dysfunctional environment, the processes are discombobulated, broken. In those kind of environments, things move very slowly, because everywhere you turn, you find issues, because every step along the way, whenever you have to deal with other departments, their processes are also undefined, and that ends up taking a lot of time, and therefore makes it impossible to get estimations like, oh, excuse me, when can you get that done for me? Would it be next Monday or following Friday or next month or 6 months from today? You don't get a date from people. So when you don't have a date, then you cannot hold people accountable. You cannot invoke consequences. There's no commitment. So that is the culture. It's a culture of dysfunction. And in that case, when you do your scheduling, you track it. You have elaborate schedules, all the dependencies, priorities, but you cannot really use that. It is not useful, which is against a guiding principle of process design. Do not perform non-value added activities. So here it's going to say, here it continues to say, they have assigned a senior project manager to guide me, to partner up with me so I can understand PMP best practices. I became a PMP in 2000, it's a long time ago, and I was the president of the LA chapter, I guess 2015. I was the board of directors for 7 years, so I definitely have been around PMs for a long time. So here, for somebody who is not well trained in cohesive skills, conflict management, they can probably flip. They got body slammed, they got smashed, and the hatchet is coming down hard. And then following that, they have the PIP, Performance Improvement Plan, right? Which is basically you are on probation. So a period of 5 months from November 2015 to April 2016, I'm supposed to meet multiple times, 4 times. Over a period of 4 months, I guess it was 8 times. 5 different times here. And again, I need to separate issues log from risk logs. It's a big deal to have these items separated out. And in a subsequent slide, I have included an email regarding the risk logs. All right, so that's the performance appraisal, the probation, which is the performance improvement plan. And just to kind of cut to the chase, obviously I survived that experience. I was lucky, and for no apparent reason to me, nobody talked to me. Somebody came to my office and said, "Can we take your picture?" I said, "Sure." And then they asked me to cross my arms, to put my hands on my waist. And then in a few months, on 2 consecutive company videos, my picture was shown in that video as elevating whatever. And I'm saying all this with reverence and respect. And the reason I'm showing this is that so you don't think I'm a disgruntled dummy here trying to argue for his innocence and trying to vent. It's really not that. I'm trying to pass on some invaluable experience. And also for people who get into trouble, the initial reaction is shock, anger, disbelief, and it's a horrifying experience. For those who are not seasoned in sports, intense martial arts training, you can really be shell-shocked. Okay, Having said that, so let's do some reflections on the probation or the performance improvement plan. I understand, be honest with you, because empathy or cohesive skills in Aikido, what we do is we pivot and we face the same direction as our opponent or as our partner. That's called tenkan. So anyways, empathy is to see other people's point of view, and I understand their points of view because the management or the executives, they also work in a process broken environment, dysfunctional environment. So how can they hold people accountable? How can they show effectiveness? How can they prove that they are working? So in my mind, it kind of makes sense for them to come down on some people, not everybody, but some people get picked out. So then the question is, why me? Why not everybody else? If I'm so smart, so good, right? That's an interesting question, and which will be addressed in a subsequent slide. I believe the executives and the management, lots of them do not understand. They do not have connector skills. They probably don't even know too much about process skills, common cause versus special cause. Common cause is if everybody is slow on the freeway, and you cannot blame that slowness of driving to one or two drivers. But if everybody is going fast and only one person is going slow, maybe something's wrong with the car or something's wrong with the driver. So common cause versus special cause. So whenever you see a problem that's being had by many people, that's a systems problem. So it's pervasive, right? So I believe some people did know it or do know it, and I believe they have ulterior motives, not so much intentionally sabotage, but they have something to gain in the chaos because they get $8 billion a year, and there's a lot of money that goes into contracting and so on and so forth. So, which is point number 3. To me, after being there for a while, I kind of said, okay, it kind of makes sense in my mind, and I will share more examples. The reason that I'm sharing this level of detail once again is for those who come after me, or those who are still working today, those workers of the future, to develop the spirit, to acquire the skills, like the Miyamoto Musashi's Ichi school, right? The point of the spirit of art of execution is to win over any dysfunction, whatever the size, whatever the dysfunction is. Others people cannot handle it, I can. So it's not about being egotistical, but it's about wanting to become part of the special ops, or having the ability and the endurance and the perseverance and the hardiness to withstand the bumps along the way, right? Because somebody has to stand and create a good place. Not everybody should run, should cry, should play victim, should play dumb, should play along for survival. I don't believe that should be the case. That's not the path I have taken, and doesn't mean I'm a better person, just the way I have chosen to live my life. So the way I have experienced this whole thing is that it's been a divine gift. I'm lucky to have the opportunity to apply the principles that I have gathered, I have gained over the last 30 years. And I know I was lucky that I wasn't ejected, I was not eliminated. So there's an element of luck which I cannot claim, and the arrival of the new C-suite and the arrival of some new practices or new managers really is beyond me, right? So managers such as Mike been great. Okay, so let's see. Cohesive skills to control my own spirit, right? When somebody comes after you, you tend to get angry. I tend to get angry, vengeful, victimization, bewildered, and begin to just wail and to flounder. No, you apply cohesive skills, and I have videos on cohesive skills, multiple videos, some hour long. And the Art of Execution playlist has got like a 12-minute summary on what cohesive skills are. Basically, you control your own spirit, don't let people control your spirit, and you do not flinch, you do not defend. What you do is you enter into the attack. How? Take a look at it, the video. And just remember, this is real, right? We're talking about people such as myself. I have mortgage to pay, I have kid, I have a wife, I have parents who are aging, I have siblings, I have nephews. So I am part of a life system where I have my responsibilities, so real pressures in life. So you don't want to get taken out of play. You don't want to get fired. So remember, insubordination is grounds for immediate dismissal. Don't show hostility. Don't grimace. Don't make faces. Relax your throat. As my Aikido master Babito has taught me over 20-some years. Show no hostility. Relax the shoulders. Relax the throat. Relax the gaze. So just being very aware. I don't always do it, but I know to turn it on when I see threat. But going forward, I should always be alert, always be aware, and not become careless. So when I was besieged, when I saw that they were moving in, when they assigned the senior project manager to shadow me, to teach me how to do project management, this is after me having decades of experience in project management, and then they hired they send an external consultant, some Dr. Carolyn something, to give me guidance, coaching me one-on-one, telling me to my face, I think you should leave the company. You are too big for this place. You can get fired, and all that kind of talk. And in the Art of War, they talk about 5 different types of spy. The Art of War book, chapter 13 talks about the spies. When I saw like almost all 5 types of spies were there around me, and of course you can say I'm suspicious. I am what I say they are, and they are not what I say they are. I understand that. However, I have coworkers and who also came and told me certain things, and I was surprised that kind of everybody knew. I thought I was the only one who knew about it, but everybody else seemed to be aware of it as well. So I'm not having hallucinations by myself in my own head. So when I saw the situation in the other war, they talk about seizing high ground. You never attack upwards. You want to be tethered to high places. So I immediately reached out to the CEO, the COO, to be the chief of staff and the human resources director, like I said previously, to make sure I'm visible, because I didn't want to be taken out. Not so much because I was afraid or I couldn't find a job. I had like 6 different jobs in the last 5 different new companies in the last so many years, 7-8 years. So I know finding work is not a problem, but this place was so fascinating and so unjust, not criminal, but just really, really incorrect, that I wanted to be in play. I wanted to see what's going on. It was a puzzle. It was intriguing. It was something that I would have done even if I didn't get paid, because it was very fascinating to me, even though it was difficult, quite hard. So duality skills basically says, don't think about useless things. Why did they do that? How come they are here? How come they are there? And don't spend time speculating, because when you are suspicious, when one is suspicious, one's mind is divided, one becomes indecisive. So this is even embodied in the Chinese character for idiocy. So not to be suspicious, but when you see enough facts or confirmed observations, then you need to I needed to focus my mind, to control my thoughts, so I don't become a wreck emotionally. Leaders' edge skills, like I said, is about aligning the organizational structure with the mission, vision, and value statement, which is supposed to align with the stakeholder needs. Basically, McKinsey's 7S, you can look it up. And I have separate videos on this. And then again, the different systems and processes, communication system, performance appraisal system, compensation system, and production processes. You look at all of these and to see what is misaligned and how come the culture is the way it is, how come the behavior, and after some long period of time, I think I cracked it. The root cause of the problem is that uncontrolled processes create variation. I have this on a subsequent slide. The process ninja skill is operational. All of life is process. From going to school, from buying a car, from getting married, from raising a child, from going to work today, everything is a set of processes or steps that you take. So this is very important to see your way out of the dysfunction. So as I said, the persecution intensified. I saw spies coming around me and up and down, left and right. And then I got something in writing that, I missed the performance improvement plan or the probation one-on-one, I missed it again. And then something like this, as I said, insubordination is grounds for immediate dismissal. You cannot let it stand. You have to put it in writing. So I wrote back, I'm sorry. I don't believe I missed any one-on-one. It was not in my Outlook calendar. So nobody can go to HR and say, well, this guy is insubordinate. He's not showing up. And this is the second time. Boom, you are out. And since, like I said, we're dealing with millions of dollars in this place, I wasn't sure who's gonna do what. So I came home. I told my wife and my daughter, be careful. Something is going on at work. Watch yourselves. Look over your shoulders. Be circumspect. And I used to walk the stairs, climb 12 flights of stairs. And when I enter the stairwell, I would push the door all the way against the wall to make sure nobody is hiding behind the wall, because I have a pattern of when I arrive, which staircase I take. And also when I turn corners, I would not cut the corner short. I would walk way out, away from the corner, so I could see behind the corner before I continue to walk up the stairs, for example. So you can say I'm being too suspicious here. You can say that, but in my mind, it's just being aware of the situation, because in the art of war, Sanzi said the best way to have a victory is to surprise somebody, and then they don't even have a chance to fight back. It's over. So during that time, their connections on their side, in my mind, whoever they are in different departments, not only in IT or in provider, network operations, or in claims or membership. They can be anywhere and everywhere. So I had this coworker from the provider team. She wanted to meet, and I kind of said to myself, well, I don't really know who she is. I don't know why. And I intentionally met with her in the lunchroom rather than to be in a conference room one-on-one, because I thought to myself, if I go in, she screams, she rips her shirt or whatever, she comes out, there's a scratch on her arm, that's it. I will be escorted out the door immediately. So just be aware, don't be naive, right? That's the point. So during that period of time, I was stoic, practically didn't have any friends, except one person, Pavan, who was talking to me every now and then, but otherwise no connections at work. So I was stoic, laconic, didn't say too much. Whatever you say can and help be held against you. And I focused my mind to save my energy. And for periods of time, I was working 75 hours a week. I think I did it on 2 different spurts, maybe 7, 8, 9 months at a time. Second time I had a panic attack. I would say, not to exaggerate, a minor form of PTSD, or I felt so much stress. I had trouble talking, I had trouble breathing. I went to see my PCP, and he said, take care. And the last point here is, you need to comply with whatever they are asking for, even if you think it is useless, even if you think it doesn't add value, because otherwise you will not stay in play, right? So when this Dr. Carolyn something asked me, oh yeah, you better leave, the place is too big for you, just between the two of us, and they can fire you. I said, you know what, I'll just get off the PIP. And I didn't mean to be disrespectful, but hey. All right, so the causes for the PIP, right? So the question, common cause versus special cause. Why was I singled out? I wasn't the only one. I was aware of a few other cases. Some very good people were driven out. They were working very hard. This lady, Suprabha, she came and said, look, this cannot go on. I'm working on your project until 1:30 in the morning a.m. and I'm up again 5, 6 a.m. I'm working again, and this and that. And management just kind of sat there. She didn't report to me. She's just working with me, partially, on a part-time basis. So anyways, lots of good people were killed. So the point is, my manager even said to me, yes, I know this doesn't help, that doesn't work. Just do it. Just go ahead and do it, even if you don't. And I didn't refuse. I said, sure, but I really didn't follow through with that. I continued to do what I believe was the right thing, because what I thought was, if I swept everything under the carpet, then the problem will not show. So one way to bring attention to the issue is for me to do quote-unquote the right thing and be able to defend and justify and clarify and explain it. So it will bring attention to the plight of the situation. And then I also offer up some solutions. but I didn't do that. Meaning I did not just I did not follow the job description and do useless things, because that would mask the problem rather than surface the problem, right? And then I didn't take the time to sort out the issues versus risks versus actions versus decisions, and we will see why on a subsequent slide. So the next principle is output equals input plus process, right? If you only look at somebody's grade, by the time you see they got a B when you prefer an A, it's too late. Do they have the right books? Do they have the right desk, the right lights, the right study aids? Do they study once a week, once a day, once an hour, right? So you will control their study. It will help to improve their study habits and make sure they have what they need, so you can help them to achieve the output they want. So when I'm working with team A directly, and then I know team A depends on team B, C, and D. If D is getting stuck and D is in a totally different department, say in the provider network operations, I really don't have the influence to go all the way there. And I know my managers and my teammates, they are stuck here. They have no say over some other directors, some other senior directors, some other VP's domain, right? So I would not beat up my team members. So when I went to HR to explain the situation, I said, look, I can take it to my QA person, the lady Sangeeta. I could have blamed her for certain things. I could have done many things like that, but I didn't do it because it's not the right thing to do, and that was viewed as not escalating. And I don't blame the manager for giving me that performance appraisal, because there are higher ups over her head who may want that to happen, and we will see possibly why. So like I said previously, uncontrolled processes create variations, faulty programs, and no documentation, right? So every time you change something else breaks, and every time you take few steps, you find surprises and other things come up, because this whole thing was created over the last 10-15 years without documentation, without processes, without review, without design, without proper requirements. It's an incredible mess. So this is my projection. My personal assessment is net, we need to say everybody on the scene failed. The leadership and management of the past or the present, they were incompetent, and some of them were corrupt, because my projection, my suspicion is some of these things are very obvious. And then when you see that, there's almost encouraged turnover. People are ramrodded, people are smashed, and many people just leave. People come and go. People put documents on SharePoints, and next thing you know, SharePoints are gone. It almost looks like deliberate sabotage. So it's too much. And these are people who are highly educated with good experience in good industries. I mean, in very strict, high quality industries such as banking and so on, financial industries. So I would say it's beyond incompetence in experience. I would say it's intentional. That's my projection. Okay. So here I wrote an email to the senior director, and it might have been communicated up to the executives in the C-suite. Risk logs. What are risk logs for? To figure out the probability and likeliness, the probability and impact of some potential risks, which can turn into issues if something goes wrong. And then the reason you do that is you can identify them and try to avoid them. Now the question is, in this environment, you cannot find a manager or a team member back then when I wrote this, the date is here, 2016, who was interested, accountable, or committed to solve the problem. So you can say this is exaggeration, but I put this in writing, of course, for the sake of to protect the innocent and people's privacy rights. All of these names have been changed, right? So this is why I didn't take the time to meticulously separate things out, because nobody cares, nobody gives a darn, nobody looks at it, nobody can be accountable for it. It sounds unbelievable. If people told me what I saw or what I see, even today, I would not believe it. Okay, so we talked about process ninja skills. These are the quality principles, common cause versus special cause. I talked about that. And that the reason it's important to know common cause versus special cause is that then you then know how to solve the problem, right? If it's a systems problem, or this person is drunk, or this person is sick, or whatever the situation is, do not solve a common cause problem with a special cause solution, right? Let me go beat up on the QA person. Let me go push the development manager and tell everybody that he has failed. And that's why I was viewed as not escalating, not following up, being too easy on the people, because I understood it and I tried to explain it. But then I think after I explained it, I think they understood it. Maybe they understood it to begin with, but they also have a job to do. They also have superiors to prove to that they are actually doing their jobs and making progress. Basic design principles, error-free and no non-value added activity. So in this environment, everything is error-prone. It's an exaggeration, maybe not everything, maybe 90%, maybe 80%, maybe 70%, but it's definitely more than 50%. It's kind of very high. And there are lots of non-value added activities because rework is everything depends on rework. Nothing is ever done right the first time. And Coach John Wooden said at the beginning, one of the alchemists, Coach John Wooden said, if you don't have time to do it right, when do you have time to do it over, right? Don't do anything useless. We saw that. We talked about output equals input plus process. So the end-to-end processes are undefined. Therefore, you cannot blame one team or one team member. So, for example, if a project, this happens in corporate America quite frequently, $25 million project is 1-2 years late. Why? Who failed? The person who gave the money has the opportunity to say, if they apply the universal truth, the Tao of software development, they will say they will know in order for the code to be designed to be done properly, there must be solid, firm, final, signed off requirements. You can call it story, you can call it whatever BRD, business requirements document. The point is you will control it in a way that if something is going to fail, you will see it after 2 months rather than 2 years. So this is not being righteous. This is just, if you look at software development, computer science, so it is important to put people in position who are technicians, who understand these things. And then if the person is high level, is a power monger, is a C-suite, then they need to surround themselves with people who really understand the trade and be able to monitor whether something is going to go astray or not. I hope this was clear. All right, so why me, right? Like I said, of all these people in a common cause environment where everything is dysfunctional, why was I singled out? From day one, a week into the job, I said to my manager, I said, I'm expecting any day to be my last day because everything's very strange. The war is not the war and the table is not the table. I don't know what I can count on. And I'm driving to work, 2-3 weeks into the job. People from this vendor started to call me, hey, we got, I don't remember how much now, $230,000 or $22,000 left in this contract. Let's spend it. I said, yeah, I'm very happy to spend the money, but you got to tell me for what. And then, then eventually somebody was assigned to me, and I didn't understand why. I questioned it, and then they say, well, it is for oversight. And then, okay, fine. I said, fine. If they want to buy insurance or somebody to oversee my activities, that's okay. I understand that. And my team members at that point, I think I have 20-some plus people on my program. They were all asking me, like, what's going on? Why is this guy, here? Why is he not showing up anymore? This, that, and the other. So the things that I'm saying is not just coming from me, right? And then we were some test environment, and the test environment is supposed to be upgraded to some version way beyond production, and nobody on my program understood. So I stood up against that. And then one other example is, we were having trouble solving a production problem. It's a big deal. and then this vendor B was almost close to solving it, and vendor A rushed in with a contract, and even though we didn't need to have it, and vendor A said, well, we don't give them the passwords. But anyways, things were just happening without our understanding, without our control, and we ended up working in an environment where other people are changing the work that we were doing in the middle of the night. It's crazy stuff. And this finance guy in the IT world, after he was let go, called me on my cell phone and said, remember you were talking to me about who is checking the invoices, this, that, and the other? I said, yeah. He goes, well, I was let go. I didn't have a chance to collect the stack of paper on my desk regarding this contracting firm. I guess he was referring to corruption. He said, well, if you go ahead and give me that stack, and it will be great. And I'm thinking to myself, right, this, in my mind, it was a trap. If I say yes, first of all, I'm tipping my hat to a spy who's going to tell them I have bad intentions. And then if I do go and try to collect that stack of paper and try to walk it to him, I can be caught and fired and be faced with criminal charges for, I guess, leaking confidential information. So anyways, so generically speaking, for those workers of the world, if you are a manager or an executive, it is not difficult to set somebody up to fail. Give them a low priority project, give them disgruntled employees, give them angry testers, give them no requirements people. I wrote all the requirements myself personally for the first 2 years because I asked over and over again. I could not get requirements people to write business requirements for me. So I ended up writing them myself. Either that or the project wasn't going anywhere and nobody cared and nobody asked until they put me on probation. So to do it properly, Coach John Wooden said, well, you would explain the task, you will model the solution, you will the apprentice, the disciple will imitate it, and then they will practice, and then the coach will observe and fine-tune their skills. So same set of skills, same set of process applied to any kind of work, whether it's basketball or learning to code. So what happened was, my experience was the opposite. It is not criminal, like I said, but it's tremendous amount of negligence, incompetence, cruelty, meanness. Let people flounder, frustrate them, intimidate them, threaten them with aloofness. His coworker a month ago, told me that his manager didn't talk to him for the last 3 months because of something that he said, and the spy went and passed on the words. And then torment them with bad processes, punish them for bad results, destroy those who are not loyal to you. Of course, espouse cronyism, nepotism over meritocracy. So it is not what you do, because in a functionally discombobulated environment with broken processes, you cannot really achieve things based on hard work, because all the processes are connected. Coach John Wooden said it takes 10 hands to score a basket. Somebody has to inbound the ball, somebody has to pass the ball, somebody has to dribble the ball before you get a chance to shoot, if you can get open, right? So it's teamwork. It's end-to-end process. So it's easy to set somebody up for failure. So the moment I saw that they were moving in for the kill, with the senior PM shadowing over me, with an external consultant asking me to leave, with the spies coming around, with my manager doing this, telling me I'm missing one-on-ones, the heat was intense. So I wrote up the processes, how it is misaligned, how the job description is misaligned with the current culture and the existing processes of getting end dates. So I was able to prove, and I actually suggested to them that performance appraisal should be abolished, which, as it turned out, it was abolished for that year. So I'm not saying they took my advice, but lucky for me, it worked out that way. So during the same period of time, during the period of my probation, the job description questionnaire came out and says, in your group, is your manager actually helping you out? Is it substantial? Is it significant? Or is it just like, okay, are you at work? Are you sick? Are you unhappy? Somebody says you talk too fast, you talk too loud. and you like to lecture people about principles. So as it turned out, the IT project management office was dissolved because they found no value add for the group to be together. That's my interpretation of the JDQ, job description questionnaire, and what happened afterwards. And I know I'm going very fast, so feel free to pause it and look at it. I'm putting a lot of stuff in here in a very short amount of time. So this is an example of the art of execution pillar of Process Ninja skills, okay? Everything in life has a start, has an end, right? Going to school, getting married, birth to the end. You're going from point A to point B, whatever A and B are. And when the customer is asking for something, by the time the customer gets it, that's called the cycle time. Cycle time in the world of processes is equal to production time plus the wait time, right? And then before you can deliver something to the customer, you must figure out, okay, customer goes, I like to have hamburgers to eat. Okay, I like to have hamburgers in a drive-through from my car. I like chicken McNugget. I like fish. I like French fries. I like French fries crunchy. I like French fries hot. I want coffee hot, but not so hot where I get burned. So these are the requirements. And then they go and design a process. All right, by the time the person drives up to the order box in the driveway of a McDonald's, for example, and then they drive up after they place the order, they drive up to pay, and then they drive up to pick up their French fries. So in the meantime, if they order a large French fries, so the processes are laid out. The French fries are dipped into oil at certain specific temperature for a specific number of minutes, and then a bell would go off, and that's automation, right? So remember I said the source of all problems in this place is uncontrolled processes create variation, which means poor quality. So automation removes variation. So they need to get cucumbers, lettuce, tomato, fresh, and the buns. They need to get the hamburger patties from the headquarters somehow. So all of these are operational logistics, and they want to automate as much of this as possible so they don't have the French fries burned 1 out of three attempts, right? And then they have the systems. Then they specify the systems, the inventory control systems, the oil replacement system for cooking the French fries, and the temperature control systems. Now let's take a look. Before the customer specifies the need, you really cannot be designing the systems, right? It doesn't make sense for you to design the systems when you don't know what the needs are. That's obvious. And before the requirements are finalized, if you begin to automate some pieces of it, you may build things which will be removed from the requirement, right? So there's a hard dependency. Some of these can overlap, but at some point there's a hard dependency between these steps, right? So project management, where I'm gonna say, okay, how quickly can you serve this customer with 2 Big Macs and 1 cheeseburger and 2 fries and a milkshake, and it's 2 a.m. in Bakersfield. Before I can go to that point, these things below it must have happened first. Automation, operations, this must already be in place. So for somebody who browbeat me and say, oh yeah, I'm a bad project manager, I don't have the work breakdown structure, I don't have the risks logs, I don't have this and that. I was running projects as efficiently as possible. I was able to execute and get results, whereas many people, I'm sorry to say, failed before me for 2 years, 3 years. That's why I was brought in for ICD-10 in the first place, and I succeeded. I mean, not to brag, I led the team. We delivered, okay, within 3-4 months. The first piece of work came out. So this is a hard, concrete, black and white defense. But the point is, if nobody on the scene is willing to listen to you, they are not interested in what you have to say. They want you dead, and it's up and down the hierarchy, the chain of command, from the executives in the C-suite to directors to managers. Then pretty much you are dead, right? So to me, I was fortunate it worked out in such a way that I was able to learn, help to resolve the process. So the art of execution framework, let me boast, that framework has principles that will allow you to transform any dagger, any hatchet, any irritation bigger than what an oyster can turn into a pearl, bigger than any problems that you will see. All right, this is a big statement. Cohesive skills, quick review. Focus on yourself in your interactions with other people. People may attack you, may accuse you, may bash you. Do not react to it. Act as if it's not happening. Don't process it. Because if the moment you process those things in an emotional way, they are controlling you, then you are playing their game, and then it's only a matter of time before you are exhausted. Therefore, you have to apply strategy. And Musashi Miyamoto said, you must look at the big picture in order to have strategy. And the leader's edge skills gives you that big picture. Duality skills, right? Don't waste your energy on useless things. Focus your thoughts on what's helpful to you. Maintain your emotional balance. Navigate according to the principles. So now you are navigating by your faith in the principles and not by what you see. Because if you navigate by what you see, when I came home, I told my best friend in Germany, he told me to leave. My cousin in Germany was upset. He said, who are these people? My parents, my father told me to leave. My mother told me to keep copies of the documents. My siblings said, okay, what can we do to help? Safeguard some information. I went to my classmates, ex-coworkers, my professor from college, my manager from Citigroup, went to my Aikido master. Most of them told me to leave the situation. So obviously I could have left, but I didn't want to leave because it wasn't the right thing to do, and what was being done was not right. And I believe I had the skill to withstand it and to come and help with the solution, or until they carry me out, until I was removed. Leader's edge skills, I talked about that. Process ninja skills, be able to see what's going on and to spot the problem and be able to come up with a solution, process-wise. Everything in life is process, right? If I don't like something, I find it difficult, and I begin to attack them, I begin to attack the person, that's a process. But if I don't like something, I find it difficult, the first thing I do is I think of it as neutral. I think of it as a friend. I sit relaxed and I look at it, and I go find experts who will help me to go through it. And I'm changing my relationship. I'm changing my emotional anchor. I was working with my nephew Eric, and he was getting frustrated with algebra, linear algebra. I said, relax. It's okay. Don't have this negative emotion, hysteria build up, because that's going to interfere with your learning abilities. And then he went on to get a good grade on the test, B+. I was hoping for A. I went back home to him the following day, but he didn't know I was coming to help him. So connectors use the art of execution principles to restore order, the kingdom on earth, so to speak, right? We come to life, we want to be happy, we want to have our happiness overflow, we want to go to work, we want to enjoy our work, we want to make a difference. Dr. Gemi says management's job is to provide quality for the customer and work for the employees and to the contractors, for the workers. So we should be happy at work. So connectors, I bestow this mission on them to create happy workplaces and to be the first one to endure the suffering and the pain of the dysfunction and to stand and resolve it, or until you are removed from the situation. Maybe I'm asking for a lot, but I believe we should stand for something, and we should sacrifice ourselves and make a commitment and devote to making the world a better place by making the workplaces more functional and happier. Generic skills based on principles and specific knowledge of local systems and staff and people styles and people who are experts, people who are selfish, people who are generous, know the players, know the systems, know the processes, know the pitfalls, and know how to put it together as a connector, right? So this is a review from a previous slide. So 7 prerequisites of high productivity. So this is some kind of a review. First, leadership and management must lead in process design. Why? Because finance and engineering and manufacturing and shipping and receiving and whatever the quality assurance departments, they report to different people. And only the CEO or the C-suite people, they have enough people under them. So if you go to somebody who belongs to a different boss, if you say, hey, make this a priority, look at your process, the person goes, no, I have 15 tickets I have to solve by this week, by this month. And therefore, they will create conflicts and siblings fight. So you got to go to the parent to help out. So these are basic universal principles. And I have lots of videos. I have 50 hours of videos on Vimeo, maybe 20 hours of videos on YouTube. None of it is any good, but all of them are based on the Tao, universal principles. So you don't have to listen to my bad English or my Chinglish. Just look at the principles which I'm talking about, see if they make sense or not, right? Make sure the requirements is clear. Everything fails when the requirement fails. It's got to be world class, got to be clear, got to look at find the smallest feature that the customer can use and give it a world class requirement and see if the person can produce the world class requirement and have it signed off and have that built. And you will know success within 2 to 6 months. And you don't have to wait for 2 years and after $25 million have been spent, right? So I'm not trying to berate anybody. I'm saying the science is there, the Tao is there. So we can tap into it. Then we design efficient and error-free end-to-end processes. These are ideal situations. This is the blue sky. And I know sometimes it's not possible. For example, I have become a hacker. The people that I'm leading nowadays are hackers. We're running around, we're patching things, we write things to update things in production, and we delete records in production. And I'm not proud of it. We have become hackers, but that's what the situation required. Nobody could put together the big picture in a short amount of time. But if the situation improves, which it is improving now, we need to come up with the business architecture, IT architecture, and understand all the different systems and all the interdependencies and do the right thing. Automate all the processes if it's possible to take out variation. That's why if you are building a skyscraper, the success rate is almost 100%. But when you are doing a project with people, success rate and enterprise-wide initiatives fail at 70% plus of the projects fail because of variation in people. But by using the out of execution principles and processes, you can take out as many of those variations as possible, and you can deal with those variations by using those principles for your personal survival and for the success of your company. And I want to leave this a better world for my child, and I'm sure you want to do something for your kids. And for your kids, if they are in college like mine, they have to probably work 30, 40, 50 years in their lifespan. And by 2050, there will be 10 billion people on Earth, will be increasingly competitive, intense and corrupt, perhaps, and I believe so. Train staff and PMs to execute processes optimally, so let's be error-free. No wait time. Managers continually, so this is continuous process improvement to face off with process encrustation to keep up the efficiency. So you thank you so much for if you have come this far, if you have stayed with me up until now. What's so impressive about this, right? Because at the beginning I talk about alchemy, I talk about Mother Teresa, Dr. Deming, I talk about the firefly lighting up himself up in the middle of the night, himself or herself up. It is impressive in that if you go through all of these principles and processes, you realize that a successful outcome is based on the successful outcome of all the teams, of all the departments, which means everybody in all the teams, in all the departments need to know how to do their jobs properly and need to make sure the results of their workstation connect with other people's work, input, and output. So it begins with one person. Each person needs to know how to do it, and everybody has to do it, right? So we come to that conclusion, at least I have. You may need to stop and think about this because some of these are not intuitively obvious, and I cannot make things crystal clear in 1 hour. Some of these topics can take years to study. So this is an example of Inland Empire Health Plan, and they talk about, so this is the live link. I will make this set of PowerPoint slides available on OneDrive. And then the link will take you to the slides, and the slide will have a live link to this article here. AMS, you can search for AMS, and the article should come up. So I will put this link in the YouTube description box, right? So if you have a green belt, a black belt, a master black belt, I was certified within City Group to do Six Sigma and quality training. And I wanted to get certified in a green belt, but then it didn't work out due to a job transition. So the impressive thing about this is the art of execution. If you study it, it takes you to the same conclusion. Lean and Six Sigma quality initiative enterprise-wide is the solution, and we came to the same conclusion independently. And going beyond work, right? In life, there's so many other ways we can fail. Bill Clinton was a great smart guy, Rhodes Scholar, but I'm not judging anybody. The libido, the temperament, the disposition, the feistiness, the immorality, the criminality, the greed, the angers, all of these things can trip us up, right? In a divorce and so on. So how to protect ourselves from bad luck? Lao Tzu, the author of the Tao, also wrote this. I will let you read it on your own because it's past 1 hour now. And this is the guiding principle of governing in China. The governing principles of ancient China. Some dynasties lasted 30 generations. Some dynasties lasted 20. Some lasted 10. Some lasted 2. The Qing dynasty, the Chinese people are called Qing. Qini in Farsi, in Persian, Qini is Chinese. Qing dynasty, that's what gave the name Chinese. Chinese, Kinese, Kinoi in Hungarian. So the ancient governing principle of China has some great stuff. In my mind, this is a must read for workers, managers, and executives. It has a lot of the principles from Confucius. And Toynbee is this historian who wrote the book, and he stressed about the Chinese culture and the Chinese principles, how they can help the world. So I'm not showing off here. So in the governing principles of China, in there they said the leader or the ruler is like the vessel, like the glass here, and the people, the subject, the teammates, the team members are like the water. So how we run our teams, how we run our families, how we run our companies, we put the subordinates and so on in that container. So we need to be aware. And my heart bleeds for the corrupt, for the greedy, which I am too. However, I learned from the art of the previous 2 slides. From this one, the fortune cookie wisdom is the name I gave it. It's called the sensing and responding universe. There are 200 actions you can take, which can cut your lifespan short from 100 days to 12 years. And you can say this is religion. I don't believe so. I see it as principles, but I'm offering up what's important to the next generation. So my parting words: look for the truth, and the truth will set you free. Stand and deliver. Don't run and hide. Don't cry. Don't victimize. Stand up. Hold your head up high. Control your thoughts. Know your skills. Know your big picture. Know how to handle yourself in a conflict. Bloom and make this a better world. This is my email, my cell phone. Call me anytime. Thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye.